Hey guys, Chef Farouj here, founder of Indulge Right Foods, on a mission to end the obesity pandemic. In this video, I want to show you how to make caramel coconut macaroon that requires no baking. So let's get started. What you're going to need: a jar of Indulge Right Foods caramel sauce, about 10 ounces of unsweetened shredded coconut, and some melted dark unsweetened chocolate. So let's get started. All right, so once you empty the content of the jar in a saucepan, you just want to bring it to a quick simmer, just like you see in here. While I do have about 10 ounces of unsweetened coconut or shredded coconut, I may or may not use all of it, and here's why. It all depends how sweet or how coconutty you want your macaroons to be. You want to give it more of a caramel flavor, then you use way less than that. You want it to be more caramely or more coconutty, then you add more. Totally up to you, all right? All you want is basically to give it all nice and bind, bring it all together, and that's it. That's all it's going to take. All right, as you can see in here, I've used probably about 5 ounces or 6 ounces. I could do more or I could do less. In this case, I want it to be a bit more caramely, but by all means, you could add more to it. And that's all it's going to take, really. Just bring it to kind of soften up those coconuts, literally about under a minute. So you could shape it. As you can see, it's kind of coming together. Right? So it's holding together. That's all what you need pretty much. And that's it. Now, I'm going to let it sit in here for a few seconds. And here's one thing I want to talk about. Chocolate. So, when it comes to chocolate, you could temper it if you so choose. Or you could use regular unsweetened, dark, 100% pure chocolate. If you decide to temper it, if you want to go fancy about it, what you could do is start with 80% of the chocolate you're going to use. You melt that, you take it off the fire, you melt it on a double boiler, right? So hot water underneath, the second bowl in the water, touching the water. You don't want to steam it because that's hotter than actual water, right? And then once it's melted, you take it off the fire, you add the rest of the 20% or 25%, depending how much you held back, of the chopped chocolate, and you stir it off the heat. That generally will temper it. For home use, that's perfectly fine. Obviously, in a professional setting, you'll stick to temperature and you test it again. If you want to find out if you got a good temper on that, you take a piece of parchment paper, you add a little piece on it, or a little dollop of chocolate, and pop it in the fridge. Give it a couple of minutes. After you take it off, it should just break, snap. Then you know you have a good temper, right? For our use in here, we're not going to go too far. We're not going to go too crazy about it. And literally all we're going to do is basically, I'm going to turn this down a bit now. Again. So now this one is all kind of set, all sticky. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring back my trusted little scooper. You could do larger size or whatever size you want. And just basically press it in. Alright? You end up with a little scoop like this. Now, what you could do, if you don't press it enough, here's what's going to happen. It's not going to shape well. Alright? So, that's quick. Be sure you're pressing on it really well. It's hot, be careful. But otherwise, once you do it right, you should be just fine. You do a bunch of them, you finish it all. I'm going to come back in here so you can see it. Again, press on it. Make sure it's cooled off a bit. My hands tolerate a bit more of heat, so I'm cool with it. Otherwise, you just scoop it up and then put it on a parchment paper. Once you scoop all of it, you pop them in the fridge. let it cool off completely. That might take about, or you could freeze it if you so choose. So it all depends how much time you want to devote to it. If you want it real quick, again, pop it in the freezer for a few minutes. And then I'll show you, once I cool it off, what we're going to do with it. Now, the longer you let it cool off, the easier it will be for you to handle. So all you do, see that little mountain in here? Just dip in the chocolate. All you want to get is basically the bottom half a bit. You could do more, you could do less, it doesn't really matter. Just give it a couple little taps, get rid of the excess chocolate, and put it back on the sheet lined plate or sheet pan as you wish. All right, once again, you just want to dip the bottom, drizzle a bit, give it a couple of taps. You might lose a couple of pieces. Again, depends how cold it has gotten. And then you're good to go. Just get it off. Be sure you're lining whatever container you're putting it on, whether it's a sheet pan or a plate, you're lining it up with some parchment paper or some wax paper. This would make it much easier for you to remove and if it falls apart like this, just stick it back together, no big deal. But it will be easier for you to remove it off the plate once the chocolate cools off. Okay, so that's all you gotta do. Simple, easy, quick. You could also drizzle some chocolate on top of it if you so choose. All right, or you could skip the dipping and just top it off with some chocolate. Totally up to you. Don't be shy with it. Play with it as you wish. All right, you could dip it, you could drizzle it. There's no rules. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed it. You could get your jar from our website at indulgeright.com. In the meantime, if you have any questions about the recipe, or if you need clarity, or you have questions, or you want to reach me, comment below, hashtag indulgeright, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, 3 ingredients: caramel sauce, Indulge Right Foods caramel sauce, that's sugar-free, melted 100% chocolate, and unsweetened shredded coconut. Now, I started with about 10 ounces, but I did not use all of it. I could use more, or you could use less. So far in this particular recipe, per jar, I used about 5 to 6 ounces. Again, it all depends. If you want it more caramely, then use less. If you want it more coconutty, use more shredded coconut. All right. Hope this was helpful and it serves you. I will talk to you later. Until then, stay safe and stay sane. Talk to you later. Bye.